This is a continuation of chapter 1, Global Mass and Diagrams, and today for class 6 geography I'm doing the topic, okay, basically diagrams, that is representation of folded and faulted landforms. So why does the landform or the shape of the landform is different in different places? This is due to this process called diastrophism, that is called tectonic processes. There are two types of tectonic processes. The one is aperogenic, okay, process, and another one is orogenic, okay. Now aperogenic is a vertical movement. It's a vertical movement which we'll study in the third chapter in more detail, okay, which includes sudden and rapid movements, okay, which causes earthquakes, tsunami, okay, landslide, volcanic eruptions, etc., which makes landforms, okay. Orogenic movements are basically horizontal movements. In these horizontal movements, okay, we come across this as slow movement. This is rapid movement, R-A-P-I-D, rapid movement, okay. This causes rapid movement, okay, sudden movement, and this causes slow movement, okay. And in this horizontal movement, there are three types of processes that are known as convergent, C-O-N-V-E-R-G-E-N-T, convergent, okay, divergent, and, okay, transform movements. So, in order to study the anticline and the syncline, we have to see this movement. That is called convergent movement, okay, divergent movement, and transform movement, which are known as mountain building movement. Okay, MTS, mountains building movement. Because it is a slow movement, okay, this process has been going on for millions of years, okay, and it is caused due to folding and faulting. Okay, F-A-U-L-T-I-N-G, faulting, okay. Now, if you look at the convergent movement, I'm rubbing this one, okay. So, in diastrophism, we are studying about orogenic movements, that is known as convergent movement, okay, which is also known as endogenic processes. So, when we are looking at the convergent movement, this convergent movement is this movement, okay, this movement, which I'll explain you later on, okay, which causes fold mountains, which makes fold mountains, MTS, okay. This process happens when the two plates collide or move towards each other. So this process happens when the two plates collide, C-O-L-L-I-D-E, collide or move towards each other, okay. Now another one is divergent movement, okay. Now we are again studying about divergent movement. Now, D-I-V-E-R-G-E-N-T, divergent movement, okay, this process is the simple diagram, okay, way of knowing this divergent movement is this arrows, okay, look at the arrows, okay. So, this movement actually causes cracks and faults, F-A-U-L-T-S, faults, okay, due to tensional force. So that pulls, okay, C-R-U-S-T-A-L, crustal blocks away from each other. So these are the two movements which we will be studying in more detail, okay. Transform movement we will study later on, okay. But this divergent movement causes, okay, block mountains. This causes block mountains and rift valleys. So, with the help of a model, okay, of the earth, I am going to try to explain you, okay, these two movements. Now, look at this model of the earth, okay? Now, plates. There are 15 plates, okay, which binds all the continents and our water bodies together. Now, whenever we are talking about the layers of the earth, okay, there are more than, okay, 4 or 5 layers of the earth, okay, which are called O horizon, C horizon, B horizon, etc. Okay. Now, if you look at this model, okay, now I am trying to explain you what is convergent movement. Convergent movement means when I, okay, basically press, okay, when I press like this way, okay, so pressing. Okay, divergent means going away from each other. So convergent means coming towards each other. Okay, divergent means going away from each other. Okay, so let's explain this. Okay, with the help of this model. Okay, now if I put a convergent movement, okay, here when I press it, what happens? A fold mountain is formed. The middle part is known as the fold mountain. Now if I slowly, okay, go away from each other, now 2 block mountains are formed and the middle one is called the block valley, rift valley, sorry, okay. These 2 are the block mountains and the middle part is known as the rift valley. Please remember that. Now what is anticline and what is syncline? Here only we can explain it, okay. So syncline are downward folds, okay, which goes down, okay, and anticline are upward folds. Are you understanding? So anticline are upward folds and syncline are the middle fold, okay. So what is, so if I make a crustal block here, okay, so if I make a block here, let's take for example, if I make a block here, if I make a block here like this kind of block, okay, okay. Now if I basically move this block a little bit down here, okay, like this way, this is known as, okay, this is known as the downward fold. This is known as the downward fold, F-O-L-D, okay, fold. This downward fold is known as S-Y-N, okay, S-Y-N-C-L-I-N-E, syncline, okay. This upward fold is known as the anticline, anticline. This is the meaning, and this is caused by what? Due to the movement of the tectonic plates, okay, when they come closer to each other or when they go far away from each other. When they come closer to each other, they make fold mountains. When they go far away from each other, they make block mountains and rift valleys. So how they make block mountains and rift valley? Okay, so this is the diagram, okay. So when they are going away from each other, what happens? These 2 block mountains are formed where the tip of the block mountain is flat and you have a rift valley in the middle, okay. And this middle part, rift valley, is also called, okay, also called, okay, what we call syncline, and the upper part is also called anticline, okay. Now whenever we are talking about this, okay, this is also called horst, H-O-R-S-T, horst, okay, and the middle part which sinks, okay, basically is called a graven, G-R-A-B-B-E-N, graven also, okay. In the 3rd chapter we'll study in more detail, okay, about that. Now let's turn the page, okay. Now we are moving on to, okay, representation of river landforms, okay. Now whenever we are talking about representation of river landforms, because I have already, okay, explained you the block mountain, we are moving on to the rivers, okay. So in this chapter only, globes, maps and diagrams, okay, we are studying about, okay, how a river as well as a block mountain or a fold mountain is basically shown in a map, okay. So we are talking about representation of river landforms, okay. Now as you know, okay, river is a stream of water which flows from the mountain areas, okay. The rivers which basically gives, okay, continuous supply of water is known as perennial rivers, but rivers which spring up during a particular season, that is rainy season, is called seasonal rivers, okay. So representation of river landforms. So the first thing that we are going to study about is meanders, okay. Now let's take for example, this is a mountain area, okay. From this mountain area a river basically is born, okay. This is the source of the river, this is the source of the river, okay. This is called the origin of the river, okay. But when the river basically, okay, basically makes a turn, like this kind of turn, okay, like this kind of turn, when a river makes a turn, this is called meandering. This is called meandering. A meander is a bend in the river course. So what is a meander? A meander is a bend, okay, in the course of the river. So when the river basically, okay, develops a pattern, that pattern is zigzag pattern or swing pattern, that is called meandering, okay. So meandering happens due to what? When there is erosion, and erosion is caused by what? It is caused by water as well as wind, okay. Meandering happens when there is erosion in the outer banks and it widens its valley. So when a river basically is eaten away by the wind and the water which is flowing down. So as you know, the water basically washes the land from one part to another, okay. From one part it washes and basically, okay, deposit that, okay, soil, okay, in the other part of the, okay, place, okay. So this is called erosion. Erosion is basically, okay, basically means eating away of the land, and it is concerned with eating away of the land and deposition of that material in another land, okay. So meandering happens when there is erosion in the outer bank. So what is an outer bank? This is called the outer bank of the river, okay. Now these are called left bank and right bank, okay, tributaries, okay, or bank, okay, rivers, okay. So at the same time there is deposition of silt on the opposite inner banks. So whenever we are talking about deposition of silt, silt means fertile soil, okay, which is brought down by the mountain rivers from the mountains, okay, to the plains, okay. So when the river is basically moving down, okay, it's a fast flowing river, it has got current, okay, it has got energy, and this energy basically washes over the land or part of the land from the mountain areas and brings that soil to the plains. When it is bringing that, okay, it also basically makes a path, and this path called meander is made due to erosion, okay. So when a meander gets cut off from the main river, an oxbow lake is formed. So you can look at the figure also here, okay. Here you have an oxbow lake. So what is an oxbow lake? Let's take for example, I'll rub this one, okay. I'll rub this one. So sometimes what happens means river changes its course. When the river changes its course, like this way, okay. So what happens? When a river changes its course, when the course of the river is changed, okay, so what happens? An oxbow lake is formed. An oxbow lake is formed, okay. So it's basically a crescent type of lake which is formed. This lake is known as oxbow lake. Oxbow lake, okay. Now we are talking about tributaries, okay, after this. So what is a tributary, okay? Now I just want to draw a diagram of tributary, okay. So let's explain it, okay. Now I'll make a diagram here, okay. In this way you'll be able to understand what is a tributary, okay. Okay. Now let's take for example, this is the main river. This is the main river, okay. These are smaller rivers. These are smaller rivers. So when smaller rivers basically, okay, tributaries are streams or rivers that flows into a larger mainstream of a river. So whenever we are talking about tributaries, these small rivers, these small rivers basically joins the main river is called a tributary. That is the simple meaning of that, okay. The main river receives a large amount of water from the small rivers, okay, and basically drains in the lakes or inland, okay, what we call lakes, etc. So these tributaries gives water to the lakes, okay. The point where a tributary meets or joins the main river is called the confluence. The point where the small river joins the main river is called a confluence, confluence, okay. Tributaries do not drain directly into the ocean. So tributaries do not give water in the oceans. They give water in the lakes, etc. Okay, in the lakes, etc. Remember that. Okay, the side of the river through which a tributary joins the river is accordingly indicated as a left bank tributary or a right bank tributary. Now look from this side. This is a right bank tributary. This is a left bank tributary. This is a left bank tributary. If the river is flowing this side, this is a right bank tributary, this is a left bank tributary. For example, the Kosi river, okay, that is the Nepal river, is the left bank tributary, okay. So Nepal also has a Kosi river, okay. We have Tista river in Kalimpong. Likewise, okay, Kosi river basically flows in Kathmandu, etc. Okay, in Nepal, etc. This river is a left bank tributary, whereas the river Yamuna is the right bank tributary of the river Ganga. Okay, now we are studying about distributaries. Okay, we are studying about distributaries. What is a distributary? Okay, so a distributary is a stream that branches off and flows away from the main stream. Okay. So what is a distributary? Distributary means it distributes water. So I am making a diagram of a distributary. Okay, so let's make a diagram of the distributary. Okay, so I am making a diagram of the distributary. Okay, so this is called a distributary. This is called a distributary. Okay, a distributary is a stream that branches off and flows away from the main stream. These tiny streams or distributaries are the most common features of the river. So distributary means the main river basically branches out, okay, into, okay, smaller rivers. So this branches out into smaller rivers. Okay, so the main river gives water to the small rivers. Okay. They are formed just before the river drains into the sea or ocean. So this distributary is found where? Where you find the mouth of the river, where it joins sea or oceans. So a distributary gives water to the oceans or seas. Remember that, okay? So this distributary is found where? In the lower course or old stage of the river. So how to know which river is, okay, a young stage, okay, or an old stage, or what we call a mature stage? Okay, you can go to the geofact. You can go to the geofact and read about that. Okay. Now we are moving on to delta. We are moving on to delta, D-E-L-T-A, delta, okay. Now I am going to draw a diagram of a delta, okay, which I'll also draw in the third, okay, chapter, the same diagram in order to teach you, okay, but I am drawing here also. Let's take for example, this is the map, okay. Now, okay, now this is called a delta, D-E-L-T-A, delta, okay. Now a river delta is a landform that forms from the deposition of sediments carried by a river as it leaves its mouth and enters the sea or ocean. So the river where it empties its water into the oceans or seas is called the mouth. The starting point of the river is called the source, but the river which when basically empties its water into the oceans, etc., is called the mouth. Okay, so a river delta is a landform that forms from the deposition. So river delta is a landform of fertile land, okay, which is made by the deposition of fertile soil brought down by the rivers as it brings the fertile soil from the mountains and empties its fertile soil into the into the mouth of the river. In the mouth of the river, a delta is formed. A delta is a triangular okay, shaped land. So a delta is a triangular, triangular shaped land. So whenever we are talking about triangular means this kind of, okay, triangular. It can be inverted triangular, okay. It is represented by the Greek alphabet triangle, okay, which is called a delta. The largest delta in the world is that of the river Ganga and Brahmaputra. Some other famous river deltas are of Mississippi and Nile River, which you will study in further classes, okay. Hope you find this lesson useful. Thank you for listening. With this, I have finished this chapter. Thank you.